Have you ever heard of a boy who defeated a giant with just a small stone? Sounds like something out of a movie, right? But this story is real. Everyone was afraid, and a boy who wasn't even a soldier showed up and said,
"I will fight."
While the giant laughed, thinking he would win easily, David didn't even blink. He knew that with courage and faith, no one is too small to win a great battle. But what happened after the giant fell? Stay here, because the end of this story might surprise you. In the fields of Bethlehem, far from the great cities and powerful armies, there lived a young shepherd named David. He was the youngest of 8 brothers and spent his days caring for his family's sheep. To the world, David was just a boy, but to God, he was so much more. While David's brothers trained for battle, he spent his time praying, singing, and protecting his flock from lions and bears. David knew that God was with him every step of the way, and that made him strong inside.
"The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want."
But one day, David's life changed forever. The prophet Samuel was sent by God to the house of Jesse, David's father, to choose a new king for Israel. And guess what? God didn't choose the tall and strong brothers. He chose David, the shepherd. When Samuel saw Eliab, David's oldest brother, he thought, "Surely this is the Lord's chosen one." But God said something important to Samuel.
"Do not look at his appearance or height, for I have rejected him. I do not see as man sees. Man looks at the outward appearance, but I look at the heart."
One by one, David's brothers passed before Samuel, 7 brothers in total, and none of them were chosen. Then Samuel asked Jesse,
"Are these all your sons?"
"There is still the youngest. He is tending the sheep."
He came running, wearing simple clothes and with hands dirty from work. But God saw David's heart, and in that moment, Samuel anointed David as the new king of Israel. The Spirit of the Lord was with David from that day forward. But David did not become king immediately. He returned to the fields, waiting for the right moment, learning patience and humility. As he guided the sheep, facing lions and bears, the world around him was changing. The people of Israel were at war with the Philistines, and fear grew every day. Rumors of a gigantic warrior began to spread throughout the region. His name, Goliath. Goliath was no ordinary warrior. He was a mountain of a man, nearly 5 meters tall, with a spear that seemed impossible to carry. His name alone was enough to make even the bravest soldiers tremble, and this is where David and Goliath's journey begins. The young shepherd didn't know it yet, but God was already preparing him to face the greatest challenge of his life. Days passed, and David continued tending his sheep. The wind blew over the fields of Bethlehem, but elsewhere, the scene was very different. The Valley of Elah, where the armies of Israel and the Philistines faced each other, was tense with war. Every day Goliath stood and challenged Israel. He walked across the battlefield with an arrogant smile.
"In fact, there is no one brave enough to face me. Send out your best warrior." Silence filled the camp of Israel.
Each time Goliath appeared, the soldiers looked at one another, hoping someone would have enough courage. But no one moved.
"He is too big. There is no way to defeat him. Not even King Saul wants to face him."
Goliath's words echoed through the valley like thunder. And with each unanswered challenge, the giant's confidence grew.
"Are you an army or a flock of sheep? Send someone, or I will come to you myself."
But in the midst of fear, a different figure was about to appear on the field. It was not a warrior, but a simple shepherd. And so, the fate of Israel was about to change in an unexpected way. One day, David arrived at the camp, sent by his father to bring food to his brothers.
"Who is this Philistine that dares to mock the army of the living God?"
David's words echoed among the soldiers. The faith of a simple shepherd was about to change the fate of Israel.
What are you doing here? Did you come to bring us bread and run back to your sheep?
I brought food, but what worries me is seeing everyone afraid. Who does this Philistine think he is to mock the army of the living God?
David's words soon reached the ears of King Saul, and so the young shepherd was brought before the king. David approached without showing fear. The king, with a heavy sigh, pointed to the valley where Goliath walked slowly, as if he owned the battlefield.
Do you see that man, David? That is Goliath. He is the champion of the Philistines, a warrior trained since his youth. No soldier of Israel has dared to face him. For 40 days he has challenged us.
Why does no one fight against him? He only mocks.
Goliath is not like other warriors. His height surpasses 3 meters, and his armor is so heavy that few men could carry it. His spear is like the trunk of a tree, and his shield is carried by another soldier just as strong as him. Many have tried to face him, but none have returned alive. He does not fight with strength alone, but with cunning as well. Goliath knows the fear in men's eyes and uses it to his advantage. When he walks, the very ground seems to tremble.
Majesty, I can fight him. God protected me from the lion and the bear. He will protect me from this Philistine.
Saul looked at David with surprise. Amid the uncertainty, a spark of hope emerged. Perhaps, just perhaps, the fate of Israel rested in the hands of a shepherd.
Very well, David. May the Lord be with you, but you shall not go unarmed.
Saul rose and called his servants to bring his personal armor. It was the finest armor in Israel, made of gleaming bronze with an imposing helmet.
Wear this. You will need all the protection you can get.
The servants placed the armor on David, but it soon became evident that it was far too large. The weight made it difficult for him to walk.
Your Majesty, I cannot fight like this. I am not used to it.
David removed the armor and instead took his staff and chose 5 smooth stones from a nearby stream. With his sling in hand and unshakable faith, David stepped onto the battlefield. On the other side, Goliath approached, laughing as he saw the young man without armor.
Do you come at me with a staff? Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?
See, you come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord of hosts. Today, he will deliver you into my hands.
And so, the battle that would be remembered forever was about to begin. David stood before Goliath. The entire valley held its breath. On one side, a giant covered in iron and bronze. On the other, a young shepherd with a sling and a stone.
Come here, boy. Today, I will give your flesh to the birds of the sky and the wild animals.
David placed a stone in his sling, spinning it above his head with precision. Goliath took his final steps, and with a single motion, David released the stone. It sliced through the air like lightning, striking Goliath on the forehead and sinking deep. The giant fell face first to the ground. The army of Israel erupted in cheers as the Philistines fled in terror. David's victory over Goliath was only the beginning of his journey. Although the young shepherd had become a hero in the eyes of the people, his path to the throne of Israel would still be long and filled with challenges. David returned to the camp as the great victor. King Saul welcomed him gladly, but over time, Saul's admiration turned to envy.
This young man receives more praise than the king himself. It won't be long before he takes my throne.
And so began one of the most complex relationships in Israel's history. Saul saw David as a threat, while David remained loyal to the king, refusing to raise his hand against the Lord's anointed. But the tension continued to grow. Consumed by jealousy, Saul tried to take David's life multiple times. David was forced to flee and hide in the caves of the desert, relying only on his faith in God. Even in adversity, David did not lose hope, and in time, he gathered loyal followers, forming an army of brave men. Years later, after Saul's death in battle, David was crowned king of Judah and later of all Israel. His journey, marked by faith, courage, and humility, inspires generations and cemented his place as one of Israel's greatest kings. And so, the shepherd boy who defeated a giant became a king after God's own heart. Did you enjoy this incredible journey of David? Then don't forget to follow the channel for more Bible stories full of faith and courage. If you haven't watched it yet, go check out the emotional story of Noah and the Ark. Turn on notifications and don't miss the next adventures that will inspire you.